Poland just slammed the brakes on Europe's biggest defense cash push, more than 44 billion euros in EU-backed loans, and the NATO country closest to Russia hit pause. Welcome back. Today we're breaking down a political shock inside the EU. Brussels rolled out the SAFE Act, Security Action for Europe, a massive loan package meant to rush weapons purchases and expand Europe's defense production. Poland was lined up to take the biggest slice, close to a third of the whole pot. Then came the twist. Poland's president, Karol Nawrocki, vetoed the law needed to unlock and use that funding. So why would a frontline state block billions for air defense, drones, ammo, and new factories? Start with the president's argument and why his camp calls the veto a win. First, control and long-term costs. Supporters say EU loans are never just money. They worry strings follow, and once Brussels bankrolls the buildup, it can start steering what Poland buys and how it plans. And even with low interest, the bill still lands on Polish taxpayers later. Second, partners and procurement. SAFE is built to prioritize European-made gear. Nawrocki says that narrows Poland's options and risks sidelining suppliers Poland leans on most, especially the United States and South Korea. In his framing, this is about keeping Warsaw free to buy what works, from whoever can deliver on Poland's timeline. If you want to stay ahead of these geopolitical shifts, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Now the government's view, because Prime Minister Donald Tusk's team is furious. They say the veto is a self-inflicted hit. SAFE financing could be cheaper than Poland borrowing alone, meaning faster modernization at a lower cost over time. And the plan was to channel most of that money into Poland's own defense industry to grow domestic lines, hire more workers, and ramp output. Critics argue the veto puts thousands of firms in the supply chain at risk, delays projects like drones and missile defense, and slows readiness while the war in Ukraine is still burning next door. So why is the reaction to President Nawrocki so intense right now? Opponents say he's turned veto power into a governing weapon. He's closely tied to the conservative opposition PiS, and many centrist voters see the growing stack of vetoes, close to 30 so far, as deliberate gridlock. Critics frame it as party strategy dressed up as security policy. Supporters frame it as the last hard stop on EU overreach, keeping Poland in charge of what it buys, who it buys from, and how it pays. So is this a smart stand for sovereignty, or a risky delay in rearming? Drop your take in the comments and leave a like if this breakdown is helpful. Now, what happens next? The government is pushing a Plan B, leaning harder on a domestic armed forces support fund to keep contracts alive. But that route is messier, slower to scale, and could squeeze other priorities like cyber defense. Either way, the veto just turned rearmament into Poland's loudest political fight heading into the next elections. The money is still out there, the threat is still next door, and now every major weapons deal comes with a second battle attached. Not just what Poland buys, but who gets to decide. Here's the part most people miss. A veto does not kill SAFE forever. It buys time, and it forces a choice. Poland can either find a workaround, or it can try to come back with a new law that the president will sign. Option 1 is override. In theory, Parliament can overturn a veto. In practice, it needs a big supermajority. Right now, Tusk's coalition does not have it. So unless the numbers change, the veto stands. Option 2 is rewrite. The government can bring back a modified bill with tighter safeguards, more parliamentary oversight, hard limits on what Brussels can influence, clear language that Poland keeps full control of procurement decisions. That could give Nawrocki political cover to sign without looking like he folded. But there's a clock running in the background. SAFE loans are a competition, not a guaranteed payout. Money goes to the countries ready to file plans, sign contracts, and show production timelines. If Warsaw hesitates, other capitals move first. And once factories in Germany, France, or Italy lock in orders, it is harder for Polish industry to win those same contracts later. That is why this fight is bigger than one bill. This is a battle over where Europe's defense industrial center of gravity lands. Poland has been trying to become the manufacturing hub on NATO's eastern flank, with new ammo lines, maintenance depots, and armored vehicle production. SAFE was supposed to accelerate that. The veto risks Poland watching the build-out happen elsewhere, financed by the same EU program. And then there's the strategic tension Poland is trying to manage. Warsaw wants European money, but it also wants American protection. It wants EU production, but it also wants Korean delivery speed. It wants to build domestic capacity, but it also needs weapons now. SAFE leans toward Europe-first sourcing, and that collides with Poland's current shopping list. So what do the next weeks look like? Expect a messaging war. The government will say this veto weakens deterrence and hands Russia a propaganda win. The president's camp will say they blocked Brussels from locking Poland into a procurement system that could leave it waiting in line. Expect pressure from industry, too. Polish defense firms and subcontractors were counting on a surge of orders. If SAFE money stalls, they will push hard for any legal path that restores funding. And watch the security calendar. Every major procurement decision coming up, air defense, drones, artillery shells, will get pulled into the same argument.
Not just what is being bought, but who pays, who signs, and who controls the terms. So the big question now is simple. Does Poland double down on sovereignty and pay more to keep full freedom of choice? Or does it take the EU cash, accept the rules, and speed up rearmament while the window is still open? Because the battlefield next door is not waiting for Polish politics to settle.